Welcome back to Hangar 51. My name's Kenny, and today we're going to talk about Flitetest. And listen, I'm a big fan of Flitetest. Love these guys, love their products. And I did this V-tail quadcopter a few years ago, and I had the idea that I would like to do a V-tail mini, and I used Flitetest's Versacopter to do it. So we're going to talk today about the new Versacopter V-tail mini quadcopter, and this one's set up to be a FPV racing. Camera's mounted underneath, got the FPV antenna in the back. You can either mount your battery underneath or on top, whatever you prefer. I have an OSD on the side here, GPS antenna on the top. That's optional, you don't need that, but you know, I run it. But yeah, what a great, this thing just worked out fantastic. It was so easy to convert the standard Versacopter into this. You essentially only have to buy 2 extra parts. Well, for the base without the bottom here, if you just want to build the quadcopter and you don't need it for FPV, the reason I added the second level here is so that the camera is inside protected. I didn't want to put the camera on top or out in front. You know, you crash it and break the camera. So I've got my camera mounted down in here, and that's what the second level's for. If you're not going to mount the camera down here, if you're not going to use the camera, if you're going to mount your camera up on top, you don't need the second level at all. You can just go with some landing gear like that and skip the whole bottom level. So, but yeah, this was super easy build, and I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to do this in steps. I'm going to show you how to build the basic, then I'm going to show you how to convert it into the FPV protected mode, and then I'm going to do separate videos on programming a KK2 board, programming a CC3D board, and and the installing of the electronics. Those I'm going to do all separate videos for all the different configurations, so that you don't have to sit through the whole boring thing. You just watch the part you want to watch. So yeah, super great, guys. This thing, I've been flying this thing for a couple of months now, and I love the way it flies. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm having a little problem with the KK2 board, but it's definitely a board problem. It's not the copter. The copter works fantastic. Flies like this one. And what I like about these is they fly like airplanes. They fly more level and have a lot of speed. This thing is very fast. But instead of flying like this, it flies more like this, because the angle of these two motors are creating forward motion, so it won't hover hands off. I mean, when it comes into a hover, it's going to start taking off again by itself, because these two props are driving it forward. Now you can compensate for it, and it builds speed slowly unless you crank it. But basically you have to keep it in an attitude something like this to keep it in a hover. And that's not hard to do, and you can program it for that as well. But when you just have it sitting like this, you arm it and take off. Once it starts moving forward, it just keeps building speed. Even after you start leveling out, it just keeps building speed, because these back props are just driving it into forward motion. The angle of these props, because, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, they're at an angle like this, so they're pushing this way and up, so they go up and forward. The up isn't so much an issue, they're just countering the up from these. That's not, but they are forward, and at that angle it just drives it forward. There's nothing you can do about it other than hover it nose up. So once you get it moving, it just wants to keep going, and it just keeps building speed, so it's very fast, and it flies pretty level, so you don't need a lot of angle on your camera when you fly it this way. The camera's going to sit much more flat, because it just flies through the air like this. So okay, enough talking about that. Let's get inside here. I'll show you how to build it, and we'll go from there. So let's get inside. Okay guys, so here's the this is the Versacopter kit laid out. I've done some disassembly. I took the parts out of the Delron plate and kind of just organized everything quickly so I can show you. But this is the entire Versacopter as you get it, and the only thing you need to buy extra are two, and they're sold in a pair. You need two more of these boom mounts. And I think they're $5 for a pair. You get the pair of those and screws. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to do to turn this into a V-tail. Now we're just going to do a few modifications. So I just want you to see what we're working with, and now we'll get to the mods. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take one of your booms and cut it in half. Okay, now make sure you measure your booms and cut them exactly in half. Now this was 10 and a half, so each of my halves are 5 1/4. Okay, but make sure you measure yours because they could vary slightly. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. So I've already done that. So now we have our two half booms. Okay, so now my Delron has a bend in it. Okay, and we're going to use that to our advantage. So be mindful of the bend because that's going to come in handy here in a minute, and I'm going to show you why. So okay, so let's get started. Now I haven't fully assembled this yet, and there could be some changes along the way, but basically we're just going to build it as if we're building the regular mini quad. Now you'll notice on the plate here that there's a triangle here. This is the back of the copter, and this is, I'm surprised that Josh hasn't done this video already, because he's done 8 different versions of this, but all 8 of his are H-quads. And I didn't have to modify anything to make this into a V-tail other than cut the boom in half. So they obviously were thinking this. At least if they weren't, then this is a really happy accident. But let me show you what I found and how I did it. So we're just gonna go ahead and start with now, just so you know, these are your side plates, and these are the little holes, the knockouts, okay, that come out of the side plate. Okay, these are your, they were in here, and these are the holes that come out of it, and these two. Okay, well, in the middle of these knockouts are these little tiny captures, and they're going to hold these to the main boards. So you're going to need 10 of those. You get 12, so you get 2 extras. If you were building a quad, you'd only use 8 of them. But because we're building, let me think a second here. 2, 4, 6. And no, actually, you'd use 12 of them if you were if we were building the quad. The quad in a normal H configuration. But since we're building it a V-tail, we're not going to use 2 of them. So I don't think we're gonna. We might have to use them. We'll figure it out as we go. I've already put it together once. I didn't finish putting it together, and that could change. But anyway, let's just get on with the build. Okay, so we're going to start with this. This is your upper board, which is also your power distribution board. Okay, so we're building it upside down, basically. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with, we need a 30mm screw, and this is the back of the board. There's a triangle here, that's the back, and then there's straight holes here, that's the front. So we want to make sure that we keep that orientation correct, because this is where the V-tail comes in. Listen, I don't know. Josh has built 8 different versions of this, on his other video, on the version 1, and none of them were V-tail. And I'm really kind of puzzled why they didn't build a V-tail, because obviously the way this is designed, they had that in mind when they designed it. If they didn't have that in mind when they designed it, then we have a really happy accident here, because it worked out perfect. I'm going to show you what that is. But so let's just start with, we're going to go ahead and put the front screw in here and spin on one of these little keepers. And what these are for is to hold the side plates. Okay, so let's just spin that on real quick. And I apologize that I'm going to make you watch me, but I'll be pretty quick here. I'll try to keep it not too boring. And if honestly, if I get too boring, then during editing I'll take all this out. So, all right. Okay, now here's where I'm going to show you something. I said in the beginning that we were going to use that bow to our advantage, and here's where I'm going to show you that. It's going to come in handy here in just a second. So we have to modify these plates just slightly. Okay, they're identical in uniform, so there's no front or back. They're exactly symmetrical both ways. But I cut the end of this one. You see the cut here? What I ended up doing is cutting it off and cut it a little long, because you can always shorten it up. But once you've made it too short, you can't fix it. So don't cut it in half through the middle of the circle. Go to the short side of it, and then you can kind of grind it back until it fits correctly. But what you're going to do is, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to show you that. And then I told you we're going to use the bend to our advantage. What I want to do is I want you to, these are the other little clips that were on the Delron board. If I could pick the damn thing up. This little clip here, okay, and where that goes is dead center in the side plate, and I've got the side plate bowing inward, and that's going to come in handy here in just a second. So you want to snap these into here from the outside, bowing this way, and you want to put these in this way, and they just snap in just like that. Okay. So we've got that ready. All right, so now we're going to start putting the back ones in. And let me remember how this went. I think it was here and then here. Yeah. So we're going to, you want to start with not the corner hole, which is where we normally would, but you want to go in one hole. Okay? We're going to put that there, and we're going to spin another one of these on. Now this one is only used as a spacer to keep the everything in line, but it's not going to hook into the side plate to hold it. One more time. And these are all the 30mm screws. Okay, and again, we're going in one right here. Okay, and we're going to put another one of these on. I know they always say that a lot of the stuff they do are all happy accidents. Well, if they didn't design this to be a V-tail in the original designing, then this was another one of their happy accidents, because this worked out perfect. I mean, it was perfect. Now, I only bought the kit because I wanted to make it a V-tail, and they've got the best platform for doing it, as far as I'm concerned. So, okay, so we're going to spin on the booms. The boom clamps. And there's one side's threaded, one side's not. You put the unthreaded down first. Okay? So it slides on, and then you thread it into the threads on the other end. Okay? And you just want to get them, semi-loose. They don't have to be tight. Same thing in the back. Okay. All right. So now, looks like we've got a standard quad, but we don't, because here's where it comes in tricky here. We're going to add 2 more bolts in the back here. One here. And we're going to put another one of these little washer thingies underneath, just because we got to keep the height off the plate the same. These aren't going to lock into anything, but these are. So, but we still need these for spacers. So we'll go ahead and stick them on there. And one more time. Now, these are going in the triangle corners, the upper corners of the triangle. Okay? And we're going to put another spacer in there. And then the last 2 pinch clamps go here. So, are you confused yet? Okay. So here is where it's going to get fun. Okay. Let's get this last one in here. Okay, now what you do is you angle these just like this, and you insert your short booms just like that. And I'm just going to snug them to hold them in place. Okay, now we don't care about getting them aligned yet, because the length could change. And it's really easy to change the length. All we got to do is, loosen them and, slide them in and out, and then retighten them. So I'm not exactly sure how long we're going to make them yet. Okay, so there's your V. Okay, just like that. All right, so now what we got to do is you want to tighten these up just a little bit, but you need them loose enough to be able to spin that little T, okay, and I'm going to show it to you again. This little T here actually interlocks with this little tooth here, just like this. Okay, so that's poking out of the block here just slightly, just enough room for this to latch into it. And the reason we wanted these bowed inward is because I'm going to use that to my advantage. These actually tuck in behind the back boom. Okay, and then you slide it over and lock it on to that front, the little front thing there, that little T thing. Okay, so you get that tucked in behind that boom, and you're going to have to play with the adjustment here. This is where you're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit. This is really the only time you got to fiddle with it. It's just to get these to fit, because you don't want that too loose because it'll pop out, and there's nothing back there to hold it. So you just use the edge of the clamp to hold that in place. Okay, and so you're going to have to just keep grinding that back a little bit at a time until you get it, tight in there, and this will snap down into it. And then you have to add another screw, another one of these 30mm screws, through the middle of the board here. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. There's room to put a spacer under that. Don't know that you necessarily need to, but it wouldn't hurt, I guess. And we have them, and we're not going to use them in the back. So yeah, let's go ahead and put them in. But you're not going to put them in with the T out. You're going to put it with the T in, because there's no place for the T to hang out. So we're just really going to use it as a spacer. So we'll go ahead and put it in there underneath that. So you got to kind of get all this lined up together. Actually, it would probably, let's do that. Let's get these in first, and then we'll add the side plate. I didn't do that the first time, but I like that idea, so we're going to add them anyway, even though we don't need them for any to hold it, but we do kind of need it to space it. So we'll put them in. Why not? What the heck? We got them. Let's use them. Okay. One more screw. Put it on the other side. Put it in the wrong hole. The way this is designed, it's really a great design, guys. I gotta tell you, I love this thing. They really did a nice job building this. This is a super nice copter, the way this goes together. The quality of this stuff is outstanding. I love it. These fiberglass plates they have, the carbon fiber booms, the aluminum, the anodized aluminum pieces. It's just really good stuff. Very, very nice. Very, very, very impressed. Okay, so now we're going to put this in, and we're going to just slide it over. That might not have been such a great idea after all. Not that I couldn't put the spacer in, but you got to thread these in. So now you're going to have to guide that down underneath this. Make sure it stays behind it. And then when you get all the way down to the end, you're going to latch that in at the same time. Won't be too hard. It's not really, as hard as I'm making it out to look. It really goes together well. It's a great kit. I really love it. Oops, I missed the top. Missed the top hole. Gotta make sure the screw goes through the top and the bottom clip there, the stabilizer on the side.
Get that in behind there. Okay, and then get this on here. There we go. Okay, so now that's caught in there. Screwing this down into here. Beautiful. Perfect. Okay, so now that's latched into there. And you don't want to tighten that up too much because you still have to slide the boom through there. And this is tightened up in here. And it's tucked in behind here. Okay? So that's a nice, sturdy framework for that. Okay, repeat on the other side. Same thing. And the reason that bow came to our, what it's doing now is that the bow is trying to push that out, and that's putting it hard against this outer edge to keep it, outward. It's almost perfectly aligned. It tucks in just a little bit in the back, but it works out perfect. Okay, so same thing. We're going to put this one in over here. Now the little spacer here, you don't need to worry about where it ends up, just as long as it's not poking out and preventing this plate to sit square down against the here. As soon as it gets caught on the inside edge, that's fine. You don't need to get it aligned like we do the front. The front one's the only one that has to be aligned. So same thing, get this tucked in behind here. As you're screwing this down, make sure it stays behind there. Whoops. Missing that other hole again. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to spin that around, get that T in place. Just like that. And then finish tightening this up. That. And then tighten this one up a little bit, just a little bit. And now you can put your front boom. So the reason you have to wait till the end is because the boom has to go through the Delron side and the clamp. And that locks it all together. Now nothing can move. Okay? And then we'll measure that when we get finalized and get that centered. Okay. Alright, so now we just have the top two T's to put in. And this might get a little just get those in there tight. and then they'll pull it, because they're not really threads in there. They just kind of get snug in it, so they'll pull themselves in. And come to think of it, now that I'm looking at this, we are going to need all 12 of these things, because we're going to put the 2 spacers in here as well, so that everything is tight. So yeah, we are going to need that. That line there. Pull this down in like that. Just loosen that up a little bit. Just slide these in. I'm just gonna eyeball it center. Tighten these up a little bit. Just snugging. Just because we're nowhere near done. We're just getting the general idea. Okay, so we still had 2 extras of these, so let's go ahead and use them. Go ahead and pop them out of these little plugs. And we're going to put these last 2 on here. Just like that. Now these will tighten up easy because there's nothing threading into anything here, so you can just screw these and just let it pull down into the little board there, the little pocket area, and that's fine. Get it down in there, and you can back it off a little bit or not a big deal. Just kind of, you don't have to make anything real tight. Just, you know, get everything kind of just a little snug. Okay. So there you have it. There's your framework all built. Your booms are on. And now your plate goes on. And you can put this plate on either way. Just make sure the triangle's got to be at the back. Okay. And that just sits down over that, like that. Now I am going to get into the motor installation and the programming of the I'm going to use a KK2 board. I like the KK2 board. I'm just like Chad when it comes to the KK2 board. I like the fact that I can program it. All I got to do is push buttons. And I like the way that the KK flies. So that's going to be my choice for the flight board, is the KK2 board. And I'm going to give you my settings when I show you that part of the video. Okay, so now this is upside down. This is actually the bottom. Okay. Now, the only other thing you have to do to this, now remember, now that these motors, the back 2 motors are going to be at 40 degrees, so the props are going to hit the ground. So what you're going to need to put, so I bought this real cheap helicopter skid, and I'm going to put it on the skid like that. And that'll get it up off the ground. Now, that's a temporary fix, just to fly it. I'll mount that on there. But I think what I'm going to have to do, because there's really no provision for a camera on here. And if you're mini quad racing, you don't want the camera just sitting up here exposed, because you're going to hit it and crack it, break it, knock it off. So the camera needs to be inside something. So what I think I'm going to do, and again, I'm making this up as I go, but this is absolutely going to fly. But it's not really going to be, it's not really camera friendly yet. Mounting the battery pack up top here is fine, but I've got a better idea. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to buy another one of these bottom boards, okay? And I'm going to get the aluminum standoffs, okay? And I don't know if I'll buy 8 of them, or maybe just 6. I don't know that I need 8. But what I'm thinking is that I put the standoffs tall enough and add that second board high enough to be able to mount my camera inside, in between this board and the second one, in between the aluminum standoffs. Okay? So the camera will be underneath, this way. And that'll give me room to put the battery pack underneath as well. And then I won't need the landing gear, because I'll have that second bottom, that it'll land on that and sit on top of that. And that will get the props high enough off the ground to so they'll clear. Now these things are really super well made. I mean, they literally just bite onto there. Just all you do is push it on, and it's on. I mean, it bites into the. It has perfect grip. I can't believe how good those work. So basically, what you're going to have is the back ones are going to be angled, somewhere around here. To the, tilted outward. Okay, guys. So my camera stopped, but this is the final product. This is where we were going to get to. So you can see the rear motors are about, 40 degrees. I didn't measure it. Flies great like this. And the front ones are normal. You're just normal H quad. And works out great. Now, if you're going to leave it in this configuration, you can, it will, the props do clear, but just barely. So if you're flying off of grass, probably not going to work. And of course, if you're tilted at all on landing, you're going to chew up your rear props. So I suggest landing gear. Those seem to work out perfect. Gets it way off the ground, and that'll work. Super great. Now I've already flown this. It flies fantastic, very fast. And when I say very fast, it's fast because normally your regular, your regular quadcopter, you're flying at an angle pretty much like this, in this range, for speed. You don't need that with this. These rear props at the angle they're at drive the thing forward incredibly fast. So it pretty much flies level, slightly nose down, and it is hauling. I mean, it is fast. So your camera doesn't need to be angled as much. Your wind resistance is much less because it's a very low profile and it's not flying like an air brake. It's incredibly fast like this. So if you're, I think if you're FPV racing on a course, this is the better way to go probably. You're gonna have to build one for yourself and see what you think, guys. I like it because it's faster and it flies more like an airplane. It really does handle like an airplane. It banks and turns so much like an airplane. the V-tail does. I think that's just, I like it. Now for freestyle, I think a regular X quad is a much better platform for that. I think you can do. I mean, this does everything that does. They do have different characteristics, and this I think is more straight line. This tends to want to fly in a straight line like an airplane. It banks and rolls like an airplane. Listen, all I can do is tell you, give it a try, see what you think. But this is the final product. Sorry my camera stopped before. I didn't realize it stopped recording, and but this is, the only thing left to do was just to bolt the motors on in the props, and and put the radio gear in it, and now I'm going to do other videos. I'm breaking this up into videos, so there'll be a separate video on how I installed the radio gear, and then there's going to be different programmers for the I'm going to do a CC3D program setup for it, and a KK2 board. So, and I'm going to do those separate, and then my final I'm also going to do one where I convert this into a FPV platform where the camera is, instead of being on landing gear, it'll be on a separate, another one of these boards high enough to put a camera in between the bottom plate and the bottom of this, and that way you'll have the camera will be protected, and you'll have your own landing pad. You won't need the landing gear. So that's coming up next. All right.
Okay, guys. So that's the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming right up. We're gonna convert it to the FPV version with the camera down below. That's coming up next, and then we'll do the internal wiring, and then the programming of the KK2 and the CC3D. So, thanks for watching. Comment at the bottom. Like me here on YouTube. Like me on Facebook. And we'll catch you on the next one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.